There are 3 ways of transferring an embroidery pattern that I recommend to those starting out that will give you a crisp pattern for stitching each and every time. These are the very methods I lean on for all my embroidered tapestries, from the simple florals down to the detailed critters. There is tracing with a heat erasable pen, tracing using carbon paper, and printing on water-soluble paper. Let's get into what makes each method helpful depending on what you're stitching. A heat erasable pen works by using ink that disappears with heat. You can draw wherever you'd like, and with a blast of heat, your marks will disappear. To transfer your pattern using a heat erasable pen, you will need a light source like a window, computer screen, or light box, your pattern, fabric, a heat erasable pen, and a heat tool or a similar heat source. Start with your light source and place your pattern on top of it. If you're worried about the pattern shifting on you as you're tracing, use some washi tape to keep your pattern in place. Place your fabric over your pattern, and once it's positioned to your liking, you can trace away. With this method, we are essentially backlighting our pattern so that it's visible through our fabric. This method only works well with light to medium weight fabrics and does not work well with dark or thick fabrics. Pretty much anything you can't see through. This method is a fan favorite amongst stitchers though, namely because the ink disappears. But just so you know, there may be some slight ghosting of your lines after you remove the pattern on colored fabrics, and the pigment may reappear in cold temperatures. Carbon paper has 2 sides, a smooth paper-like side and a side coated in pigment, and with this coated side, we can use pressure to transfer the coating wherever we'd like. To transfer your pattern using carbon paper, you will need carbon paper, a mirrored version of your pattern, fabric, and a tracing tool with a fine tip. Now, the entire carbon paper is coated, so take care not to smudge or slide the carbon paper while you're setting up. First, place your carbon paper down, coated side up, and carefully float your fabric on top. Next, place your pattern down. And if you're worried about your pattern shifting on you, use some washi tape to keep it in place. Once it's positioned to your liking, you can trace away. Be sure to apply even pressure as you trace along your pattern, following closely to the lines. With this method, we are transferring a mirrored image of whatever we trace. Be sure to mirror your pattern before you start, or your pattern will be backwards. Now, this method does not rely on any light, so we can easily work with thick fabrics like canvas, suede, and denim. You can even transfer onto dark fabrics with white carbon paper. Just so you know, the coating is not easily removable, so if you make an errant line or unknowingly shift your pattern as you're tracing, it may not be a quick fix. Printable water-soluble paper is paper that dissolves in water. There are a few different varieties, but I'm a fan of the sticky version. To transfer your pattern using water-soluble paper, you will need a laser or an inkjet printer, water-soluble paper, your pattern, fabric, and some scissors. Considering we are submerging the fabric in water, it is important that you are working with pre-washed fabric. Trust me. You can use either an inkjet or a laser printer to print on, but be sure to properly scale your pattern. It doesn't hurt to measure to be doubly sure. Cut your pattern down to size by leaving a 1/2 inch border surrounding your pattern. This will help prevent lifting while you're stitching. Place your fabric down Peel the paper from the backing and apply the paper to the fabric. To remove water-soluble paper, you simply unhoop your fabric, submerge the fabric in lukewarm water for 3 to 5 minutes, rinse the fabric off, press out excess water with a towel, and then you can air dry it. With this method, you get the most accurate transfer of your pattern, and this is my go-to method for any pattern where precision is key. And there you have it, 3 simple ways to transfer your embroidery pattern. Now go forth and get to stitching.